In a few days in United States, New York, there will be the World Rapid and Blitz Championship for 2024. But did Gukesh beat Magnus before in Blitz? Well, the answer is yes, and I would like to show you this game by Gukesh where he beats Magnus, which means this young guy that became world champion will be ready one day to eventually beat Magnus also in a match. And the match could be with some creative format, like a simultaneous series of games. For example, they could play, I don't know, 10 games against each other on different board at the same time with a certain time control. They could play a match one day using also chess 960 or random chess. They could play also, of course, a match over the board for Blitz and Bullet. So it's kind and rapid, of course. So there are ways to create, in my opinion, a match with a series of games against each other that could last at least a week, 10 days, and the final result would give the winner of a match, of a total match. So there is clearly a way to make chess exciting and not have a classical match of 10-12 games that are all draws, and so that's it. So how did Gukesh start the game? He was white and he played e4. Magnus was black. e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6, d3, so we have the Italian game, right? Bishop c5, knight c3, h6, so preventing a pinning of bishop g5, but also getting ready probably to push the pawn. Let's see what happens. I didn't see this game. I know that Gukesh won. Luckily, thanks to today databases, we can find Gukesh games, amazing games, very, very easily. Castle. And this is amazing because you must understand, some champions like Anand, maybe they didn't have this few clicks on the computer and being able to find the most beautiful games played by Gukesh. Obviously, Gukesh wasn't born probably at the time, but the point is that thanks to technology we can enjoy these champion games very, very fast, differently from old times where they had to have a stack of books in order to enjoy them and find them and comment them and so on and so forth. Okay, after castle, bishop e3, bishop b6, h3, d6, a4, rook e8, knight d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, bishop takes e3, f takes e3, and bishop e6, c4. As you can see, there is a fight for the center that keeps the pressure, and the white already opened the f file from which you attack generally, right? So it's kind of interesting at this point what's going on. After c4, black plays a5, obviously trying to block the expansion on the queen side. Queen d2, knight b4, and here there is bishop takes b7, rook b8, bishop d5, c6. I must admit that I don't know much about the Italian game. I have seen some by Kasparov, and they were a little different from this kind of formation. So I'm happy that I'm watching this game with you guys because it's clearly interesting. Bishop takes e6, rook takes e6, and then rook ac1, and rook e7. And now clearly we have white that is as a pawn advantage, right? Because 2, 4, 6, 8 against 2, 4, 6, 7. But how do you convert this advantage? This is the question here, right? So let's see what he does, because I think it's interesting. Oh, knight h4, because the rook is blocking the queen. Rook e b7, so this was the idea behind rook e7. He wants to attack on the queen side. And knight f5. Knight f5 is something that happens in the Italian game, yes. It's one of the outposts that you can find easily. h5. And here white played queen f2, which seems is not so great. It seems it was better to play rook f3. And there was a line in this annotated game, but let's see how it continues, okay? So after queen f2, that's kind of interesting, right? Because he played g6. But obviously you are asking yourself, why not knight takes d3, right? So let's see what happens. So in the game was played g6, but let's see if this is possible. Knight takes d3. How does he continue? Notice this is obviously a Blitz game, so maybe Magnus couldn't calculate all the lines like in a classical game. After queen g3, there is this move, queen f8, that is important to find, because if you play this, then rook cd1 and white is winning, okay? So this was very, very important to find. Then of course he has to remove the rook from the attack, but black continue, and he takes back, knight takes here, oops, sorry, rook takes e6, knight d2, attacking, rook fc1, and now there is g6. And here, of course, the evaluation is difficult, but black should be able to survive. Why? Because also if you take on here, in reality this rook is defending the 7th, so that's kind of interesting situation. Beautiful line, but how do you calculate this in a Blitz game? Maybe a little too difficult. Okay, let's go back. Okay, I hope I return back to the correct position. Sometimes I try to memorize them, sometimes I return from the beginning because I try to see the game again and again, and sometimes I simply take a picture of the board before the the variation. Another way would be to have a little chessboard on the side and replicate the moves on there, so you have it there. That's a possibility too. White just played queen f2 and black played g6, to which white played queen g3 and black continue with king h7. Okay, so how did Gukesh continue to win this Blitz game? With rook c d1, rook d7, d4, obviously a central breakthrough, that's interesting, eh? And rook b7. Now, of course, you must calculate what happens after g takes f5, right? Obviously there is this, and then you have a possible checkmate here, right? So I think you must be careful, and Magnus prefer this kind of move. After which Gukesh continue with rook d2, knight a6. When you bring back your pieces, things are not going well generally. Rook d f2. Now this could become a problem, or in any case you can have a sacrifice of a rook. Queen f6, and now please try to think what would you play if you were white. Take your time, because it's an interesting move. It's related to the pawn structure that we have here, and Gukesh played c5. This breaks this pawn structure, right? Because if you take here, Gukesh takes here, eh? So this is the problem. And after this, he has an outpost. So this is what you must visualize. Again, it's just a couple of moves, but you need to visualize them. You cannot take back because of this, but once you do this, tack, okay? So it's important to visualize. You must not move your pieces. You need to visualize. That's why c5 was such a great move, because it destroys this pawn center and create an outpost that helps white to end the game. In the game, however, Magnus played g takes f5, to which follow obviously rook takes f5, queen g7, and what do? Boom, right? And the game is over. So I think beating Magnus is always a great thing, they say, right? And this could what happened in the World Championship Rapid and Blitz in 2024. Now, if you think this saved the game, think again. In any case, another beautiful game by Gukesh. We have a new world champion. We should celebrate and watch his games all the times, because clearly the guy is amazing, and we should enjoy his hard work through these beautiful masterpieces. Thank you very much for watching.